And Zakat al-Fitr is a charity that is obligatory upon the Fitr, meaning the break in the fast of Ramadan. It is called this because it is obligatory upon breaking the fast of Ramadan. It has no connection to money, meaning it's not based on how much you make, but rather it's connected to on the souls and the bodies. Ruling on it, it's obligatory upon every Muslim, and this is by the ijma'. The evidence, Hadith Abdullah ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him and his father, which is in Bukhari and Muslim, the Prophet ﷺ made Zakat al-Fitr obligatory upon the slave and the free, the male and the female, the young and the old among the Muslims. As for the conditions and upon whom it's obligatory, Zakat al-Fitr is not obligatory except under two conditions. One, Islam, it is not obligatory for a non-Muslim. Two, having what is left over from his food, the food of his family, and his basic needs on the day and the night of Eid. Like he has food and he has leftover also. So him having leftover over what he needs and what his family needs requires him to pay Zakat al-Fitr. Zakat al-Fitr is obligatory on every Muslim, young and old, male and female, free and slave, by the ijma' due to the previous hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him and his father. It is recommended to pay on behalf of a fetus when the soul has been breathed into it, which is when it has been when it reaches 4 months, 120 what? Days. The righteous predecessors used to pay on behalf of, as proven from Uthman and others, Uthman ibn Affan and others, may Allah be pleased with them. It is not obligatory though. By the ijma', it is what? Mustahab, liked. A Muslim must pay on behalf of himself and those whose expenses is obligated to pay, such as his wife, his children, and the like. It is only obligatory on those who have what is left over from their food, the food of those whose expenses and basic needs is obligated to pay on the day and the night of Eid, which is enough to pay for Zakat al-Fitr. The amount of Zakat al-Fitr, and from what it is given, the obligatory Zakat al-Fitr is a sa'. And a sa' is what? 4 handful of the most common food of the people of the country or the land, according to the majority of the scholars, whether it's wheat, barley, rice, corn, or others. Pasta. Because this was proven from the Prophet ﷺ in authentic hadith, just as the hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar mentioned earlier. A sa' now is approximately equal to probably 2.40 kilograms. Also permissible for a group to give their zakat to one person, like a whole family collects their zakat al-fitr and give it to one person, one poor person, or for one person to give his zakat to a group of poor. So he has one person has his zakat al-fitr and then he divides it over 3. That's permissible. And also the other way around. It is not permissible to give the value of the food to the poor and the needy. And this is contrary to what the Prophet ﷺ commanded. It's contrary to the practice of the companions of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, who used to give it as a sa' of food. And because Zakat al-Fitr is an obligatory act of worship of a specific type, which is food. You want to give them money, give them sadaqah. But Zakat al-Fitr has to reach the poor, what? Food, barakallahu feekum. It's not permissible to give it from something other than specific type. Zakat al-Fitr, the time of the obligation of Zakat al-Fitr, and also the time it's given out. The time Zakat al-Fitr is obligatory at the sunset on the night of Eid, because that is the time when the breaking of the fast of Ramadan occurs. There are 2 times for giving Zakat al-Fitr, a time of virtue, all right, and a time of permissibility. As for the time of virtue, it's a good time to give. It is the time from the break of dawn on the day of Eid, the Fajr of the day of Eid, until just before Eid prayers is performed. According to the hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him and his father, the Prophet ﷺ ordered Zakat al-Fitr to be paid before the people go out to the prayer, given that you'll find poor people. As for the time of permissibility, it is 1 or 2 days before Eid, according to the actions of Ibn Umar and other Sahaba. But if you're going to give it to someone else, money so that he can buy food and give it on your behalf, you can give it to him anytime in Ramadan, given that he will buy it a day or 2 before Eid and pass it out to the needy and to the poor in the form of food. It is not permissible to delay it after the Eid prayer, but if one delays it, it is a charity like other charities, and one is sinful for this delay. According to the saying of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, whoever gives it before the prayer, it's an accepted zakah. And whoever pays it or gives it after the prayer, it's a charity like other charities. All right, we conclude with 2 things. One is, where is Zakat al-Fitr? Who's permitted to take Zakat al-Fitr from you? To the needy, the poor. It is only given to the needy and the poor. This is the view of the Imam Malik, or the Malikis, and was chosen by Ibn Taymiyyah. May Allah have mercy upon all of them. This is the closest, barakallahu feekum, because really it shows, the relevance of Zakat al-Fitr. It's, as the Prophet ﷺ said, food for the poor, right? It's food for the poor. And because Zakat al-Fitr is more like, Zakat al-Fitr is more like an expiation. And the kafara, the expiation, it is given to the poor and the needy. All right, and Zakat al-Fitr, ikhwan, should be given in a country in which the giver resides, unless there is a country in greater need, in which case he may transfer Zakat al-Fitr to it, such as, for example, he has relatives or poor neighbors in his country or elsewhere, he chooses to send them Zakat al-Fitr. This is the view of Imam Malik and was also chosen by Ibn Qudama and Ibn Baz. We'll conclude, inshallah ta'ala, this series with mentioning briefly the wisdom behind Zakat al-Fitr. 1, purifying the fasting person from what he may have committed during his fast, such as idle talk and obscene speech. So it becomes purifying for that by the will of Allah. Number 2, enriching the poor and the needy from asking on the day of Eid. So on the day of Eid, they don't have to worry about begging and asking for food. It will come to them, inshallah. And thus bringing them joy. So that Eid is a day of joy and happiness for all segments of society. SubhanAllah, Eid al-Fitr that is given, Eid al-Adha, meat is distributed as well. And this is due to the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him and his father, that the Prophet ﷺ imposed Zakat al-Fitr as a purification for the fasting person from idle talk and obscene speech, and as food for the needy. Narrated by Abu Dawood, authenticated by al-Albani. Labeled Hasan by al-Albani, rahimahullah. Number 3, it shows gratitude for Allah's blessings upon the servant. Gratitude to Allah Azza wa Jal for completing the help, for Allah Azza wa Jal giving you the ability to complete the fasting of the month of Ramadan, performing the night prayers, doing whatever righteous deeds you're able to do. And Allah Azza wa Jal made possible for you to do during the blessed month of Ramadan.